everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. My name is Ari, and I am the host of this podcast. And this week's author is Matt McMann. Thank you so much, Matt McMann, for collaborating with me and for me being able to read and review your books. It was such a wonderful opportunity, and I really loved your books, but I'll get into that in a second. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was so fun to collaborate with you and to connect with you. And let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. So you guys, let's go ahead and talk about Matt McMann for a little bit. First of all, Matt is a new author. He is a very new author. These are his debut books, and they are spooky middle grade books that are actually very much Goosebumps vibes. So Matt has been wanting to be an author since he was very little, and now he finally made his almost like lifelong dream a reality. And I am honestly just so grateful to be a part of his journey. That has been a thing since he was a little boy. So thank you so much, Matt, for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful author journey of yours. I know it is just the beginning. And yeah, so he is coming out with 2 books. They actually recently just came out, and him and his wife, Lisa McMann, which, spoiler alert, I'm going to be doing an episode with her books in a little bit. So stay tuned for that. I probably shouldn't have said that, but stay tuned for that, you guys. This is the first time I'll ever do a couple, and it's so cool. But yeah, so these are his first 2 books, and they're middle grade spooky books, and he's actually coming out with 4. These first 2 were published. They're on tour right now for them, and the 3rd book is coming out later this year, I believe in August or somewhere around the end of the year, and his 4th book is coming out in January of 2024. So super exciting things to look forward to. But as of right now, his 2 books, Escape from Grimstone Manor and The Snatcher of Raven Hollow, are currently out now. Wonderful books, you guys. Go check them out. And let me go ahead and tell you guys what these books are about. So his first book in this series is called Escape from Grimstone Manor. I love the name. And this book's main character is Zari. First of all, can we talk about really quick how the main character name is almost my name, just with an extra letter? You guys, am I the main character in this book? I'm not, but it's cool to think that. But yeah, the main character's name is Zari, and this little girl has always been very fascinated and very interested in creepy stories. She loves that kind of stuff, which, I can't blame her because I do too. I'm here reading the book, aren't I? So I love that stuff too. I feel like I'm more like Zari than I thought, right, you guys? No, I'm just kidding. Kind of, not really. But yeah, moving on. She loves creepy stories, and she also loves reading about the inspiration behind the local amusement park in her city. It's kind of like this haunted house attraction, and she loves reading all of the true story behind it. So very interesting. She loves to learn. She loves spooky stuff. So put those 2 together. She loves learning about spooky stuff, which, like I said, don't get her wrong. That is wonderful to love. I love that too. And basically, the main part of the story is her and her 2 friends, Mateo and Taylor, agree to go on the last ride of the day before the park closes, the local amusement park. The one that she does all the research about. Her and her friends are yeah, let's go on the last ride before the park closes. So really fun, really spooky setting already. And then in the middle of their ride, the ride just breaks down. It just stops. Love that too. I love the vibes of this whole book, guys. I love it all. And then, if you can guess, the 3 get trapped in the haunted house for the whole night, which is such a spooky and scary synopsis. So I love that it was a middle grade because it was so scary, but it was a middle grade, so I could read it and not be scared at night. So I loved that factor of this middle grade spooky book. And now we kind of see that Zari is living in her own spooky book. So while they are trapped in the haunted mansion ride, they find a kind of way out, this dark hidden staircase, and then they start to realize maybe we're not alone here. Maybe things start to wake up in the middle of the night and roam, and we're here when we shouldn't be. So I don't mean to scare you guys. That kind of sounded scary. It's a really wonderful middle grade that is spooky and scary and has a wonderful plot to it. It was also a short read, so it was something that I really enjoyed, read in one sitting, which is sad because I kind of wanted it to be longer, because a good book, you always want it to be longer, which is why I'm so glad that there are 3 other books in the series that I cannot wait to read. But that's the first book, Escape from Grimstone Manor, and the 2nd book is called The Snatcher of Raven Hollow. Now this book, it's a whole different storyline, whole different characters, just a whole other book in the series, and this is about a small town. We already love the small towns, very eerie and creepy, and there is this problem going on in this little town, because aren't there always, right? And the problem is there is baby kidnappings happening. Before I go any further, I just want to say, Matt, you really know all the things that can scare someone. It's so wonderful, all the spooky things, small towns, kids going missing, not adults. Adults aren't scary. It's scary when the babies and the kids go missing. So that's also wonderful. And in the first book, things start coming out at night, and when you get locked in a place overnight, you really know all of the perfect scary things. So great job on that. I loved all of it in the book. So So I'm sure you know this, but you're a great writer. Keep it up. I love your work. But yeah, I get sidetracked a lot. But in the rest of the book, there's the baby kidnappings, and a main character called Tio vows to spend her summer break solving this weird small town mystery, and also convinces her friend Logan to also help solve the baby kidnapping mystery. And basically, the rest of the story just is the two friends and their kind of like adventure, you could say, of trying to stop and trying to see who is behind these children or little kid kidnappings. So already a really spooky and scary storyline, but one that I know you guys will enjoy and love. If you like anything spooky or Goosebumps related, I know you guys will love it. So be sure to go check these books out. I'll have the links to purchase them in this week's episode description. So be sure to go support Matt McMann on his new author journey. I know he will appreciate it. So be sure to go check that out. And before you leave, you guys, I had the wonderful opportunity of getting to interview the author of this week's episode, Matt McMann. So don't go anywhere. And here's the interview that I got to do with him. Hi, Matt. Thank you for being here with me today, doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it. And before we begin this interview, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to read and review your amazing and very spooky middle grade books here on my podcast. It was so fun to read. I really enjoyed them. And a quick little question, very simple, very normal. How is your day going today?
I'm doing great, Ari. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm so glad you're having a wonderful day. And of course, I am so honored to have you on my podcast. So thank you for being here on my podcast. It's so cool to have such wonderful authors all the time. So thank you for being a part of that. And now let's go ahead and begin this interview. So the very first question I have here for you today is, at what point in your life did you know that you wanted to be an author?
When I was in 7th grade, we had a creative writing contest, and everyone in the grade wrote a short story. And I wrote the best short story I could, and I won out of the whole 7th grade. And I was very proud. And then in 8th grade, we did it again. Everybody in the 8th grade wrote a short story, and I won again. And my 8th grade English teacher read the first part of my story out loud to the class. And he said if it had continued at this level of quality, which it didn't, that he would have suggested that it would be published. And I just thought, wow, that's amazing that he thinks that. I think I may want to be an author. So that's when I knew I wanted to be an author.
You know what? It's kind of like, well, first of all, that was a great response, but I feel like if it weren't for was it your 8th grade teacher, I believe you said? Your English teacher, actually, sorry, not just any of your teachers, your English teacher, maybe you wouldn't be an author. You never know, but maybe you wouldn't have had the same passion and the same drive to become an author. And honestly, I can definitely relate with that. When I was in, I think it was 8th grade, which was not that long ago, but when I was in 8th grade, so a few years ago, I had to write a short story for an assignment. It was not like for fun, it was for an assignment. And it was to write a really quick short story. It was early in the morning, out of nowhere, I just thought of this short story and it was just completely out of my brain, like right then and there. And I loved it. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with the whole premise and the whole plot. And my teacher thought so too. I remember he told me, he was like, this is a really good story. I want you to write more. So I did. I wrote more. He was like, keep writing. You can turn this into a book one day. And, obviously I haven't yet. I've still been writing on it here recently. I've just been adding a little bit more here and there, but I feel like it's kind of the same thing. Obviously I'm not an author and maybe I never will be, but sometimes it's that one person that can tell you something that can make your career. And that's why you should be nice to people. Everyone should be nice to people because one thing that you might say could completely change someone's day or someone's life. But so back to the response you had to my question. I think that is so cute and wonderful that you got your whole drive and passion and kind of inspiration to be an author from school. So I know many kids, including myself at times, do not like school, but sometimes there is the good in it, and I feel like that is a good thing. So I think it is such a great story to hear that you got your inspiration to be an author from school. So I love that response so much. And here you are. It doesn't matter how old you are, how many years it took you. You are an author that I know many people like me around the world are loving and enjoying your stories, and you are such a talented author. So great job. Keep up the great work. But now the next question I have for you is, what inspired you to write spooky middle grade books? And have you liked kind of the spooky, scary book genre since you were younger? Or was it kind of as you got older, you started to know that you liked that kind of stuff?
I was a scared kid. I was afraid of almost everything. The dark, bullies, the woods, my parents' basement. But I loved spooky stories. I loved these spooky monster mystery stories. And there was something about reading about these book characters facing their fears in these books that gave me the courage to face my own. So when I decided that I wanted to become an author later in life, after I had a 26-year music career, I thought, you know what? Those are the kind of stories that I want to write. I want to write those spooky mystery stories that I loved so much as a kid, because I want readers today to have that same joy and thrilling adventure fun that those books gave me, and also to help readers today to find their courage. So that's what inspired me to write these kind of spooky monster mystery books like the Monsterious series.
I have never thought of it that way before, because I love, and I mean love, reading spooky middle grade books, which you can stay tuned for that as we get closer to the spooky season, as I like to call it, like Halloween. And the end of the year, I have nothing but spooky books planned, so stay tuned for that if you are a spooky fan or a spooky reader fan like I am and like Matt is, as we just heard. But I never thought of that because I love spooky books, like I just said. But I was also very scared of the dark. I had to sleep, or I had to go to sleep when the lights were still on the house. I was very scared, and honestly kind of still am to this day. It's just a scary thing. My parents' restroom, it's on their own side of the house, and it's a very long hallway, and when the lights are off, it's quite scary. So I feel like we can all relate to certain things that we're scared of. I feel like the dark is a common thing. I also hate bugs. That's kind of a lame fear, but I don't like when they get in your ears and you hear the noise, especially mosquitoes. Ugh, I don't like them. But the main point of this was that everyone has their fears, and I never thought of it that I have fears. I'm sure everyone does, and some people like me that have fears also love reading spooky books. And Matt is so right. You have to see that how they face their fears, and you have to be like, you know what? I'm gonna face my fears, just like that main character that I look up to did it. So I feel like I've never seen that in a spooky mystery, but now I see the meaning of them, to face your fears and to not be scared of things. So I feel like that was a really nice way that you put that, Matt. Thank you for that new perspective. I've never thought of that before. So honestly, thank you. And yeah, I've said, and I continue to say, I am so glad that you are an author. No matter what gave you the inspiration to write spooky middle grade books or to read spooky middle grade books, I can completely relate with you in that sense. And I'm just so glad that you wrote your own spooky middle grade books. Who better than you, someone who has always loved spooky books, to write their own. So wonderful job on that. You definitely know how to make something spooky, as I said earlier in the episode. But now moving on to another question I have here for you. During your author journey, what is one thing that has really surprised you and something that you did not expect when you said you wanted to be an author?
One thing that surprised me during my author journey would be how much patience you need to be an author, at least a traditionally published author. It's just a slow process. There's so many things that need to happen all along the way, and with your publisher and with your agent, and people have deadlines and people have other responsibilities, and it's just a lot of waiting when you're an author. For example, I got my book deal with my publisher 2 years ago. So from signing my contract for the Monsterious series, it's now going to be 2 years before the books hit the shelves. And that's just pretty normal. And you can know that intellectually going in, but just feeling that is really tough. I was just so eager to get these books out into the world that it just took a lot of patience. But now I'm just really excited that readers are actually getting Monsterious books in their hands.
Did you say 2 years? Oh my word, 2 years since you signed for your amazing Monsterious book series. I cannot believe that. I knew this whole process and everything in life, but also, of course, being an author, I knew it took time, and it takes time to get your work out there and to even write the story and then finally get it into people's hands. That's over a span of years. But I guess, like you said, you can know that and you can say that, but then when you're actually in it and you're going through that, it's oh my gosh, and each day not drags, but it kind of drags in a way. And I just cannot believe you said 2 years since you signed your books, and it's going to be 3 years by the time your fourth book is out. So that's so incredible and also so crazy. But everything is a process, and like you said, it's all just a huge waiting game, kind of like everything in life. When you reach out to people through email or through really anything in life, you just have to sit and wait. Obviously continue on with your life, but it's always just a big kind of waiting game and seeing what will happen while you're waiting and after and all this stuff. But I cannot believe that, because my oldest sister right now. I have two sisters. I'm the youngest. They're both older than me. And my oldest sister is currently in the process of making her dream a reality, which is becoming a published author. And she got out of college. She's working on her graphic novel. It's a middle grade graphic novel. I obviously can't say too much about it, but I've been watching her, and I'm still watching her and still, there with her through her whole author journey. And I mean, I feel bad saying this, but she is so far from getting her book published. I don't mean that in a bad way. Look, if you're listening to this, I am sorry for saying that. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the best way possible. It's just the step one, but on so many steps and an incredible author journey. But I just feel not bad, but she's gonna have to wait a long time because she's still querying. She's still trying to find an agent. But I believe in her book. I believe in her. And I know that eventually it's going to be a book that other podcasters and even myself will, review and talk about. So I'm so glad to be on that journey with her. But anyway, let's stop talking about her. I loved how you said that. It's just all waiting, and I completely agree with you. I still just cannot believe it's been 2 years since you signed your book deal, but congratulations on your book. I know you're on your tour right now with Lisa, so congratulations to both of you guys. I cannot wait to create her episode as well. Y'all are both just such wonderful authors. And now the last question I have for you, which is kind of sad, but the last question I have for you is more of a fun question. I started this recently. I just want to do one fun question in every interview if I can. Just kind of get to know the author I'm doing, not just as an author and what they've been through, but also just as a normal human being. If you meet a friend, and you're like, hey, what's your favorite color? Just something that you would ask someone when you first meet them. So the fun question I have for this week's episode is, what is your all-time favorite movie or TV show?
Oh, that is a fun question. For my favorite movie, I'm going to go with the Lord of the Rings movies because I was such and am such a fan of the books that it was great to see them brought to life in such a compelling and artful way. And then for my favorite TV show, I'm going to go with Nancy Drew on the CW network, not only because my daughter, Kennedy McMann, is the actor who plays Nancy Drew on that series. It's also just really fun, and I love spooky mysteries, and that's really the basis of that show.
Yes, Lord of the Rings. I have actually never watched them. I know that was a big build-up and a letdown. That was very anticlimactic. But I have, of course, heard of Lord of the Rings, and I have actually been wanting to watch them for so long. Maybe this summer I'll convince my sisters at least to watch them with me. And me and my family will all watch them together. I know my father, I think he's a fan. We started watching the first one a year or so ago, and I just kind of got bored in the first 5 minutes. Of course, I was a little bit younger. So maybe if we watch them this summer, it'll be a whole year later, and maybe I'll like them more, but I have obviously want to read them. I want to watch them. So, you know what? You've just convinced me, Matt. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to bite the bullet, and I'm going to watch the Lord of the Rings series. And also the other series you talked about, the TV show series, Nancy Drew. I cannot believe that your daughter, you said her name was Kennedy McMann. If you're listening to this, congratulations. Great job. I have not seen the show yet, but I really want to go see it now because I love mysterious kind of TV shows. So I'm going to go check that out. I'm sure you did wonderful. I'm sure you're a wonderful actress. And I just cannot believe, you guys, y'all are such a huge family. I know Lisa is a New York Times best-selling author. You are a new author with wonderful books. You're a musician, you said, for a few years. I believe you told me a while back that your son is an artist. So also really cool. And then Kennedy is an actress in, not just an actress, actually, a main character in a TV show. That is so cool. You guys, y'all are such a creative family. If any of y'all are listening to this from the McMann family, just know you guys are rock stars. Y'all are incredible. Y'all are so cool, so creative. Each and every one of you guys have your own style and passion, and I think you guys are all so talented in everything you do. So keep up the wonderful work. I would be so proud to be related to each other. Y'all are just so cool and amazing. I cannot wait to go watch Lord of the Rings, but also Nancy Drew. I'm actually really looking forward to that because all the other shows I watch, Will Trent, that's a little bit different. That's crime scene investigation, kind of CSI, and then also The Equalizer. That's also a cool show where it's mysteries. And also I'm trying to think of other shows that I watch, just basically a whole lot of genres. But I love that's my favorite genre, mysterious, trying to solve a case. I love that. So honestly, I am so excited to go watch that. I'm probably gonna go watch an episode tonight. But yeah, thank you so much, Matt, for being here on my podcast. It was so much fun. I mean that it was so fun to talk with you and to hear about not just you and your writing career, but also to learn a little bit more about you and your family. It was such a wonderful wonderful opportunity. I am so thankful that you took the time out of your day to do this with me. So thank you so much. It does not go unnoticed. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for being such an incredible author. Thank you for being on my podcast. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me, Ari. Take care.
Welcome back, you guys. I know you just heard my voice like 10 seconds ago, but welcome back to the normal part of my episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that really fun interview I got to do with Matt McMann. We learned a lot about him, his family, his author journey, his wonderful book series, Monsterious, and so much more. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode as a whole, as much as I enjoyed recording it and creating it and collaborating with such a talented and wonderful author. But yeah, you guys, basically, if you want a good middle grade spooky series, be sure to go check out the Monsterious book series, books 1 and 2 out now, book 3 coming out later this year, and book 4 coming out January in 2024. Be sure to click the link in this week's episode description to go purchase book 1 and 2. And thank you so much for supporting my podcast. Thank you, Matt, and thank you all of my wonderful listeners and book lovers. Always remember, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, friends!